Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leela and I love to read queer, trans, and feminist literature. And today I'm coming to you with the very exciting news that manifestation is real. If you have been watching my videos, you know that I have been highly anticipating the release of Grace Byron's Herculine this October 2025. Well, a few weeks ago, I emailed Corintha at Saga Press requesting an arc. I thought it was a long shot, so when I didn't hear back, I just assumed that because I don't yet have a lot of followers, thank you so much for being here, I love you, my email was ignored and deleted. Okay, then last week, we ran into Tim from Verso at Hive Mind. Somehow it came up that I am so excited to read Herculine. He said, oh, Grace is a friend, I can get you a galley. I was like, oh my god. So I'm about to go right now to Tim's house to pick up my Herculine arc. I am so excited. Thank you so much, Tim. But also, last night at midnight, 12 o'clock a.m., I received a response from Corintha from Saga Press. She said, hi Leela, thank you so much for reaching out. Unfortunately, we don't have any physical arcs left, but I can share the NetGalley link with you. And she did. And oh my god, Corintha, thank you so much. I love you. I immediately clicked and started reading. Those opening lines were so strong. I am so excited. Also, it was perfect because I was like having this like scary like ghosty feeling right before I received this email, and then like the opening scene is about like demons in the bedroom. Anyway, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Tim, and thank you so much, Corintha. Manifestation is real, and I'm gonna go right now to pick up my arc from Tim. I got the arc from Tim. Thank you so much, Tim. Okay, hello. So I have read part 1 of Herculine. This is my Hive Mind bookmark featuring Green Eyes the cat. Isn't that perfect? I am so obsessed and in love with this book. It is so perfect. I am absolutely having that 6-star feeling. It's like I felt that this book would be my perfect book, and it is. Oh my god, I love it so much. I love the aesthetic of Grace Byron's writing. I find the protagonist's life in New York at the beginning so relatable. Like, it has some of that weird girl, sad girl, depression, my year of rest and relaxation vibe going on in a way that I absolutely love. And like, this protagonist is like in her 20s, she babysits, she has a shitty job, she gets fired, she's an aspiring writer, she compares herself to girls online, she feels like a failure. I just relate so much, and I also really like feel and kind of share the fantasy of, well, what if I just return to my hometown and maybe I could like join a queer commune. I really get it. I really get how her ex-girlfriend's invitation to just come back to Indiana and be part of my all trans girl commune as these like catalytic events in her like unsustainable life are unfolding. It's like, it makes so much sense. Like, I really feel how this protagonist would be compelled to make that decision. I've been annotating so much. I am just so obsessed and in love. To my taste, the sex in this book is perfect. Like, it's there, it's really hot, but it's also like not such a big deal. It's like, yeah, I'm having this like BDSM encounter. That's part of my life. It's really hot, but it's also casual. I'm like, I love that. I really love this idea of like the fairy tale of a committed lesbian relationship in which you eat pancakes and get committed jobs. Like, that is the fairy tale of my life in New York at this point. I really feel that. Feminist bookstore. This text is also like in conversation with classics in which women are punished for their sins and contemporary tropes like the manic pixie dream girl. So I am just so into that. I also love like the spacing and size of the text. Like, this book is pretty short and readable, and I personally love a short, readable, excellent literary fiction novel, and I feel like Herculine is really giving me that. This protagonist also has trauma from conversion therapy, which was making me think a lot of Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker-Martin, which is a trans horror novel about a conversion camp. And also, I went to the launch event of Cuckoo in New York, which was Gretchen Felker-Martin in conversation with Grace Byron, and that was like right after Grace Byron had posted the Publishers Marketplace announcement of the book deal for Herculine, and so I went up to her and I was like, I'm so excited for Herculine. Anyway, so I like understand more deeply now like how these two books are really connected. And actually I hadn't read Cuckoo yet because I thought that it would just be too traumatic and horrifying for me. This edition is actually also an ARC that I got from my friend when they were working in a bookstore. So I've had it, but I haven't read it yet. But it was kind of one of those things where it was like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And then suddenly it's like, this is the exact book that I need to read right now. So I picked it up right after finishing part 1 of Herculine. Anyway, I'm like a third of the way through on like page 111, and I am loving this book. I like binge read it all day yesterday. It was like the perfect Saturday gloomy activity. I watched Gretchen Felker-Martin's Saf Lit interview in which she said that she is one of Stephen King's misfit grandchildren, and I really feel that in this book, particularly the prologue, which I found excellent and like a complete short story on its own, gave me like the best parts of the feeling of reading Stephen King, but like queer and like more actualized in its radical politics, and I'm obsessed. I'm loving this book. And also I hadn't realized until I watched that interview that this book is set in Utah, and I recently went to Utah. You can watch my Utah reading vlog, so that was very interesting to me personally. And there's also like these similar themes of like demons, religious trauma, etc., which just like really interests me. It's also really inspiring me to rewatch But I'm a Cheerleader, and it is pairing perfectly with constantly listening to Nettles and Fuck Me Eyes from the forthcoming new Ethel Cain album, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. So yeah, speaking of feminist bookstores, I'm planning to go to Blue Stockings today and continue reading Herculine, so I'll see you there. Hello. I am here with some very exciting book mail / further proof that manifestation is real. This is so exciting. Okay, you guys, I entered a giveaway that Michelle T ran on her Instagram for a forthcoming title from Dopamine. That is another, I think, trans witchy title. And the thing is, I sowed the seeds of this manifestation months ago unintentionally because Michelle T was running a writing for witches workshop, and I really wanted to join. That's like right up my alley, but it was $400 and I was broke at the time. So I DM'd her and I was like, is there a pay what you can option? And she was basically like, yeah, sure. What did you have in mind? But I felt so embarrassed and ashamed that I basically just disappeared until she ran this giveaway and I entered. And honestly, I had a feeling when I entered, like just a little whisper of like, I'm gonna win. And I did. And you guys, I got what I needed because this is Bargain Witch by Brooke Palmieri. Are you kidding? That's so funny, from the universe. And I'm genuinely so excited to read this book and to be holding an ARC. It is essays by scholar and self-initiated witch Brooke Palmieri, drawing upon the knowledge and influence of practitioners from Rachel Pollack to Tituba, whether exploring the gossip of feuding Salem witches or detailing the psychic ups and downs of working in an occult bookshop. Okay, this sounds so good. Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna absolutely love this book, so I am so excited. And oh my god, it came with a postcard from Brooke Palmieri. Dear Leela, I hope you love this book. Blessed be XOXO Brooke. Oh my god, this is literally so exciting. I feel so blessed by the goddess right now. I'm so grateful for these ARCs, both releasing this October, so pre-order yours if they sound like your style. And oh my god, I'm just so happy and excited about this. And then in terms of reading updates, I am loving reading these books as connected to each other, because in this story, at the point that I'm at, the kids at this conversion camp are like desperately wishing for someone to come and rescue them. And in Herculine, the charismatic leader of the commune / cult where our protagonist has just arrived is known to have have rescued many of her commune's members from conversion therapy. So that is really fun. I'm imagining that some of these members came from the camp from Cuckoo. So I love that. There's how my Cuckoo tabs are coming along, and I didn't show you before, but I'm using this bookmark from a store in Salem, which matches perfectly, and I freaking love it when stuff matches. So that just makes me really happy. What a blessed stack. I'm so excited and grateful. This makes me so happy. Thank you. Hello, I'm in Montreal right now at my friend Esme's beautiful apartment. I am 2/3 of the way through Herculine. There's how my tabs are looking. And I have finished Cuckoo. I would highly recommend this book to horror genre readers because it is a true horror novel in the tradition of Stephen King, as Gretchen felker-martin has said of herself, being one of his misfit grandchildren. He's like explicitly referenced in here, and I really feel that. Like I said, I especially loved the prologue. What I really loved about this book was the like queer and trans horror perspective of Christian America, where it shows the violence beneath the surface of the like good Christian American image through literal demonology. I found that like really compelling and really cathartic. I also really appreciated the representation of like cultic processes in here, like the way that this conversion camp of the setting functions like a cult in its sort of gradual brainwashing and then ultimately replacement of its like participants' true selves with a sort of conforming Christian version. I found that very compelling and cathartic as well. And there's an idea in here about the appropriation and replacement of queer and trans people's bodies by this like demon that presents as a like good Christian veneer. And that made me think a lot about assimilation and how heartbreaking it is to basically erase your true self in the interest of conformity, how that constitutes like erasure and the annihilation of queer and trans people ultimately to a heteronormative standard, and how sad that is and how much I don't want to do that. Reading this kind of reminded me of like being a kid and getting absorbed in a book. I found it kind of cozy despite being like really gruesome and gory. So yeah, I feel like if you're looking for like a cozy early fall kind of pre-Samhain horror story, this is a really good choice. And I felt that way about Manhunt too, just like sort of cozy in its like immersive nature. And like I said, I am 2/3 of the way through Herculine, and this book is tracking at 10 stars for me. It is so perfect. It is gothic, literary, sad girl, trans, Buffy. Like, this book is everything I ever dream of, and I am completely obsessed. Also, just like the vocabulary of witchcraft in here, like paganism, lesbian astrology, sapphic Wicca. I am obsessed. I read up until page 169, and things are getting crazy on the demonic level. So I am very intrigued to see how this is all going to play out and where our protagonist is going to end up emotionally and physically. And I basically just cannot emphasize enough how badly you need to pre-order this book right now because it is so fucking good. I love this book. I'm obsessed. Hello. So I'm here with my final Herculine update, starting with the fact that we saw Ethel Cain live in Brooklyn, and the opening sequence was so Herculine coded. I'm obsessed. Also, it was a really cool and special and meaningful experience, and kind of inspired me to reflect on why trans horror is having a moment, and also just like horror in general as a genre, because I was kind of having like some cramps during the show, and I was kind of trying to see like, what is this pain? And I was finding that it was like basically fear of being in the world. Like, I've been pretty disembodied lately, and then being at the show and hearing the music and like experiencing it caused me to be a little bit more connected to that fear that I've been feeling about America, climate crisis, attacks on immigrants and trans people, etc., and like my own efforts to survive in this late capitalist economy and crisis. And then I realized, like, in experiencing the show, and in it she does like a horror movie sequence where she's like down on her knees and like changing positions as like lights are flashing. And of course, like, Ethel Cain's music is very much informed by / inspired by / like connected to horror. Like, she loves horror movies, but also it's horror stories. It's stories of trauma and fear that are then like really transformed into art. And I was kind of like moved and experiencing like, this is what horror does. It transforms fear into something interesting, beautiful, cathartic. So that was like a profound experience. And in terms of reading updates, I had wanted to mention that there are a lot of characters in Cuckoo, and I personally struggle in general with names. Like, I really don't retain names. And so I personally wished, as I was reading the book, that at the beginning of my reading, as characters were being introduced, I had made like a character list or chart. So that's just like a note to other readers like me who may benefit from that. And also, I'm very excited because I saw that Gretchen Felker-Martin has a new book out called Black Flame, and I'm really excited about that, and I hope to read it this Halloween season. Also, Gretchen Felker-Martin did blurb Herculine and is in the acknowledgements, and I did finish Herculine. There is all my tabs. I love this book so much. I feel that every single sentence in this book is refined to perfection, almost as if these words were etched onto tombstones, and so were perfectly considered. I'm so impressed and inspired and in love with this book. Again, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's perfect. It's the hottest book of the year by right now. Also, the sex gets so much better as the book progresses, because of course on the commune they have like tea for tea sex, and it's perfect. Also, they're doing this like limited edition Herculine hat product, which are like the hats that I imagine like the girls of the commune would wear, and I really want one. I want one so bad. I am gonna go to the launch at the Strand in conversation with Tori Peters and hopefully get one there. My one issue personally with this book is that Hecate, goddess of witchcraft, is a villain, and I understand in the context of this story how that fits into the protagonist's worldview as informed by religious trauma, where they don't want Christianity and they don't want witch religion. Like, I really see that, and I think that's understandable and valid. However, for me, Hecate is not a villain. So it was perfect for me to then be able to pick up Bargain Witch, which is dedicated to Hecate. And I did also take this book to Hecate, the sober witch-themed bar in the East Village, because I felt like this book would just simply love it there, because the author is a sober witch, and Hecate is right next to Enchantments, which is like the oldest witchcraft supply store in New York and really iconic and magical. So that was really fun. And I used to read tarot at Hecate, and I was thinking of that as I read this book also, because the author worked at Treadwell's, and that's like a big part of his experience as a witch and a book lover. Treadwell's is like the iconic witch bookstore in London. I've actually been there, and I had like a kind of magical experience on my like witchcraft reader journey when I was traveling in Europe in my early 20s, as I was connecting with the goddess Aradia, but that is another story. What I loved about this book was my sense that the author is like a devoted reader and writer and witch, like that this has been a through line throughout his entire life, which he's kind of remembering throughout these essays. And his interest in witchcraft is like the historical European witch trials, the Salem witch trials, cultural references like Buffy and Charmed and the Love Witch and the Craft, the betrayal of the author of references Caliban and the Witch, and spotlights Rachel Pollack, who's writing on terror I love, and Starhawk, who's of course a feminist witch icon who blessedly is not a TERF, and Kristen J. Soleil, whose book Witches Let's Feminists I love. I will say this book does go crazy, but I respect that. I would say also that at times it did, in my view, kind of straddle the line between religious psychosis and slay, and it was kind of challenging. There's a lot in here, and it did require some like determination to consistently read, but like in a satisfying way. Like it felt to me similar to doing like exciting scholarly work where like I'm at the library, I'm focused, and I am having like an enlightening experience. And I did actually take this to the Rose Reading Room at the NYPL, which is my sacred space, and so that was like very cool. And I did ultimately have a magical and transformative reading experience with this book. Also, look at how satisfying and perfectly like autumn Halloween these tabs are. I'm obsessed. And I did also make a little reading journal spread for this reading list, which was really fun. So there it is. That's like a piece of the Greenwood Cemetery map and just some little reading notes and images of the books. So that is the end of this vlog. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to know what like queer, trans, feminist, witchy, horror, Halloween books are on your fall TBR / what you're currently reading. And if you're excited to read Herculine, you can follow me on Instagram at Leela Shamash, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.